Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Keytime Sports. It is finally college football week one, and we have four top-notch games that we have to get into that could have a spot and have some motion when we get to the college football playoff bracket. See that? We are already talking about the college football playoff bracket, and we are not even in September yet. The first game that I'm going to get into is the Texas Longhorns versus the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, first, what I'm going to get into is the Texas Longhorns roster. And here's their offensive roster. I'm going to give everybody a good 10, 15 seconds to read everybody's name on the roster. Here is the Texas Longhorns defense. And here is the Texas Longhorns special teams. Now, one thing that I can say is that most of their starting returners, they have 75% of their starting production from last season coming back. The Texas Longhorns do. Now, one thing that is different with Ohio State is Julian Sand. Now, he was the backup last season, but now he is the starter since Will Howard has went on to the NFL to go play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But this game, I believe this game, it is going to be close. It is. It is going to be close no matter what. I am going to go on ahead and give y'all the Ohio State Buckeyes roster in a few. Let's see. The Ohio State Buckeyes roster. And here it is. We all know that it is led by Julian Sand. Now here's the offense for the Ohio State Buckeyes. I'm going to give everybody a good 10, 15 seconds to look at it. Here's the defense for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Here's the special teams for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, here is also the storylines going into this game. Texas and Ohio State are used to dealing with pressure. The expectations of both programs going into Saturday are at a fever pitch as the top-ranked Longhorns and the defending national champion number 3 Buckeyes meet in one of the most hype openers in recent memory. It's a great way to start off the year. It's just different. There's positive and negatives going to everything. But what a great game to kick off the season with a great opponent. Ohio State Ohio State coach Ryan Day said, this will be the 5th meeting between the vaunted programs. In the past, 3 of the past 4 meetings include 2 times they have met in the regular season. The winner has gone on to play for the national title. Last matchup was January 10th in the college football playoff semifinal at the Cotton Bowl, which the Buckeyes pulled away in the second half, 28-14. In the 232 days since the teams last met, 26 players from that game were selected in the NFL draft. Ohio State 14 players, Texas 12 players, with only 17 of the combined 44 starters on offense and defense for both sides returning. At the end of the day, the Stone walking out of the Cotton Bowl last year, but this is a new challenge and a new journey, a new mission we're on. Texas coach Steve Sarkisian said. Now, there's one thing that I want to say about Steve Sarkisian, everybody. Steve Sarkisian, he has been there for 4 years at Texas and has never won a big game. Never, never. The game that he had against Alabama in Texas, that was a big game. He won that one, but that was regular season. He also, well, he lost that one. Alabama, they went to Texas that one season and won in Texas. Then Texas went to Alabama, Tuscaloosa, and won in Alabama. That was a regular season game. So regular season games don't really hold much weight when you get to the playoffs year in and year out in college football. Last season, Texas got to the college football playoff, lost to, as I had said earlier, Ohio State. Now we getting to the point in Steve Sarkisian's coaching tenure where he has to win these big time games versus Georgia, versus Oregon. That's if Texas plays Oregon in the playoff, versus Ohio State, versus these big name colleges that will be in the college football playoff. Eventually, Texas has to win against them. Eventually. Now, one thing that I can say is the Longhorns have made 50 appearances at number one in the Associated Press poll, but they come into Ohio Stadium as the nation's preseason number one for the first time. It will be the fourth time the AP top-ranked team has met the previous season's national champion in the opener. The last time was 1988 when Miami blanked Florida State, number one, Florida State 31-0. Another topic, Arch Madness. Heisman Trophy contender Arch Manning will make his third collegiate start. He played in 10 games last season, including 2 starts, made a brief appearance against the Buckeyes and had a 8-yard carry, even though the sophomore received the most attention. Manning realizes the game will not only come down to him, meaning that even though he played in 10 games last season, he only played a certain amount of plays in these games last season. So even though he had 2 starts, they were against illegitimate competition. So what do we have of Arch Manning that is on tape? What do we have that is some quality tape? We don't have much quality tape of Arch Manning on tape, because the moment he played against the Georgia Bulldogs, when Quinn Ewers, when he went out, he didn't do too well versus the Georgia Bulldogs. Also, early in the season when he played against Mississippi State. Now, we all know Mississippi State is projected to be one of the worst teams in the SEC, if not all of college football. So now, this is going to be Arch Manning's first quality competition, and I'm all for it. I am ready to see this game. I am ready to see what Texas and Ohio State can do and how both of these defenses can make adjustments going into halftime of this game. The next storyline, Ohio State's Jeremiah Smith gets all the hype at wide receiver, but Texas budding playmaker ready for a breakout season, Ryan Wingo had 29 catches for 472 yards and 2 touchdowns last season. Like Smith, Wingo can be a physical mismatch for some defensive backs at 6'1", 215 pounds with his speed. If I'm the Ohio State Buckeyes, I am making Ryan Wingo my decoy for this game. We all know that Jeremiah Smith is going to get most of the attention. Texas, they've already said that they are going to neutralize Jeremiah Smith like they did in that championship game last season. Now, last season, Jeremiah Smith only had 4 catches. So the Longhorns defense, they did a good job, but I don't think that they are going to do a good job this time around. The next storyline, the other QB, Julian Sayin, will be making his first start. The sophomore took 27 snaps in 4 games last season, was 5 of 12, 84 yards, and 1 touchdown. Sayin is the 5th quarterback under Day to make his start, joining Dwayne Haskins in 2018 when Day was the offensive coordinator, Justin Fields 2019, CJ Stroud 2021, Kyle McCord 2023. The 4 previous to Sayin averaged 3,927 yards, 40 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and a completion rate of 68.9%. What about these defenses? I'm glad that you all asked that. Matt Patricia takes over as Ohio State's defensive coordinator and inherited a unit that only had only 3 returning starters. One of those is safety Caleb Downs. Now, everybody knows how good Caleb Downs is. He is projected to be one of the top defensive prospects going into April's draft. Who have one of the many top-ranked defensive players for next year's draft? A concern remains the defensive line that has 4 new starters. 4 new starters on the defensive line for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Texas has 6 returning starters, but lost 2 in the secondary, including cornerback Jaheed Barron, who won the Jim Thorpe Award as the nation's top defensive back last season. Both of these teams have something to prove in this game. Both of them. Smith had his worst game of the entire season last year. The Longhorns with just 1 catch for 3 yards. He was often double covered. Smith, who had 76 receptions for 1,315 yards, 15 touchdowns last year, said during the preseason that remembered what people were saying about the game he had last season and that he is hungry for this matchup. He will face a Texas secondary that has 2 new starters. Texas running back Quintravion Wisener ran for 1,064 yards last season and is in the SEC top rusher returning this season. He struggled against the Buckeyes in the playoffs with just 46 yards on 17 carries. Now, 46 yards on 17 carries, that is not going to do it. 2 plays later came the strip sack touchdown that sealed the game for Ohio State. He'll be running Saturday behind an offensive line with 4 new starters. The Road Warriors, as the Texas Longhorns have recently came to be, the Road Warriors. Texas has won 11 consecutive true road games, including 5 against ranked opponents. The Longhorns haven't lost an opponent on an opponent's home field since October 22nd of 2022 at Oklahoma State. The streak includes wins at Alabama, Michigan, and Texas A&M. When we go on the road, there is a different kind of hunger that comes out, a different kind of energy. We want to take over. Edge rusher Colin Simmons said in his interview earlier this week. So as of right now, point spread for this game is Ohio State 2.5-point favorite. One thing I can say about this game is I like what the Texas Longhorns have at defense. I like what they're bringing back. Ohio State, big question mark at quarterback with Julian Sayin. But if there's one thing that I can say is that I can't go against Ohio State at home playing against the Texas Longhorns, the team that you knocked off last season en route to winning a national championship. I got the Ohio State Buckeyes winning this game. This game is going to be close. It is. But I got the Ohio State Buckeyes winning this game by one score, whether it's 3 points a field goal or 7 points a touchdown. The Ohio State Buckeyes is going to win this game, and I expect Jeremiah Smith to have over 100 yards receiving plus one touchdown. And that is all I have for the Texas Longhorns and the Ohio State Buckeyes game. The next game I am going to cover is the Alabama Crimson Tide versus the Florida State Seminoles. Now, one thing that I can say about the Alabama Crimson Tide, I'm pretty sure a lot of you know who my favorite team is. My favorite team is the Florida Gators. So anybody who plays FSU, I hope FSU get the brakes beat off of them. I do. But one thing I want to say is that with the Alabama Crimson Tide, here is the Crimson Tide's offensive roster led by Ty Simpson. A lot of people are sleeping on Ty Simpson, but I believe Ty Simpson in this game, he is just going to take what the defense can give him. So as of right now, Alabama is currently a 13.5-point favorite. The point spread has fluctuated over the past 48 hours, but every time I see the point spread, it is always 13.5. So do I think that this game is going to be close? I think it'll be close in the early stages of the game, but by the time the third quarter starts, Alabama will start to pull away. They will start to pull away. Now, here is the offense for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Here is the defense for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Here's the special teams for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and they are led by Coach Keywond Dowell. Now, Keywond Dowell, he is going to have another great season. I don't care what all these critics said last season about Alabama. Alabama, they didn't have a good season last year, even though they was 9-4 last year. But everybody knows the Alabama standard. Everybody knows what the Alabama standard is when it comes to college football. They do. Now, one thing that I can say is when it comes to Florida State, I've been looking at reports after another abysmal. This is an article that I'm reading right now. After another abysmal 2-10 season, Mike Norvell is at a crossroads in his coaching tenure with the Florida State Seminoles. Even though if Florida State has another year of underperforming success, even though that Mike Norvell has the financial backing of the Florida State Seminoles and the university as a whole, he might be on the hot seat coming into 2025, and his future at the end of this season, if they do not make, yes, like it says, even if they do not have a successful winning season, his future may be in doubt going into 2026 and beyond. So, FSU, y'all got to come on this year. I'm so happy that the FSU fans, they got other stuff to think about other than us Florida Gator fans. We already know what we got at the helm. We already know what we can improve on. But these Florida State Seminole fans don't know what's going on. I was looking I was looking in the history books and I found out that the last time Alabama and Florida State played in Doak Campbell Stadium was in 2007. And the fact about it, ironically, that was Nick Saban's first game as Alabama head coach. As Alabama head coach, and Bobby Bowden was still there, and we all know I met Bobby Bowden. I've talked to Bobby. I talked to Bobby Bowden before he passed. So I understand when it comes to Florida State, they have a rich history. Alabama has a rich history. But when it comes to Alabama, come on now. I know it's a lot of fan bases that preach consistency and that wants their team to be consistent year in and year out. But the Alabama football program, as of this season, turns 100 years old, and they have 18 national championships to show for it. And 18 national championships in 100 years, that's an average of 2 every decade. That's what it is, an average of 2 every decade. So before everybody starts saying that they want to be consistent, they want to be able to beat Alabama, they want to be able to win against the top-notch teams. Florida State, you have just got to get back to relevancy because you were not relevant last year. I mean, you had DJ Ugalele, and he didn't do anything. And then obviously it was quarterback by committee last year when it came to Florida State. It was quarterback by committee, and Mike Norvell's career coaching record with the Florida State Seminoles is 33-28. He is slightly above average. If it wasn't for Jordan Travis, Mike Norvell would have been gone from FSU. Mark my words, because since Jordan Travis has been gone from FSU, what has Mike Norvell did? He's only won 4 games. He's only won 4 games. He has a career record of 4-19. I don't know what be going on with some of these people when they say that they are 100% behind a head coach. But if the head coach is not delivering on the field, why are you keeping him? Why? If he is not showing any improvement, why are you keeping him? Now, see, this is what I say. When it comes to head coaching in college football, I have a 5-year plan for every, and I do mean for every football team. My 5-year plan is first year, you're going to have growing pains because it's a new coaching staff. Second year, we need to see some improvement. Third year, you should be in the top 25, consistently ranked in the top 25. The fourth year, you should be making your way to the college football playoff. By that 5th year, you should be a championship contender. You should be. But it don't always pan out like that. America, world, wherever you may be listening, wherever you may be watching, I know that I am giving y'all facts this morning. And also, let me get back to the Florida State Seminoles as a whole. Here's the Florida State's offense led by Thomas Castellanos. Now, Thomas Castellanos, he already talking trash about Alabama, saying that Alabama, they don't have Nick Saban no more, so we don't have to be worried about how Alabama can take over games. Everything that you're saying, Thomas Castellanos, you better back it up tomorrow afternoon, because you said this a month and a half ago, and them Alabama fans, them Alabama players, coaches, spectators, everybody has listened to what you said. They have. We've heard what you said. When I first heard what you were saying, I'm saying that this dude is in over his head. I mean, Florida State, they are not a powerhouse. They haven't been Florida State, they haven't been a powerhouse in 12 years. Last time Florida State was a powerhouse, Jameis Winston was there. That's how long it's been for the Florida State Seminoles. So for Castellanos to say that Nick Saban ain't there, I keep on telling people, Nick Saban is a football consultant for Alabama. He is not the head coach, but he can give his coaching expertise to Kalen DeBoer to make sure that the players and the team as a whole can improve and be better Saturday in and Saturday out. Now, Florida State Seminoles, when we come to their defense, this is a defense that that was the worst in college football last season. I'm gonna give y'all their roster. Y'all see the defense when it comes to the Florida Seminoles, excuse me. And you see where the special teams, you see the Seminoles special teams. One thing about this game, I've already placed a bet on this game. That's how confident I am in this game. That's how confident I am when it comes to the Alabama Crimson Tide going into Doak Campbell Stadium and handling business. This will not be a rewind of 2007 because I remember that 2007 Alabama versus FSU game. Florida State upset Alabama, but it will not happen this time around. I expect Ryan Williams for Alabama to have a good game. I expect Ty Simpson to have a good game. I expect Ty Simpson to have a stat line like this. I'm going to just go ahead and say this. I expect Ty Simpson to have a stat line, I'm going to say 23 of 32, 256 yards, 2 touchdowns, and for the Alabama Crimson Tide to have a dominating run game in this game. That's what I expect. So, storylines for Alabama versus Florida State. Tallahassee, Florida. They playing in Tallahassee. Alabama, number 8 Alabama, if number 8 Alabama is going to return to the college football playoff, they will need to play better away from home. And yes, I understand. Last season was not a good season for the Alabama Crimson Tide as a whole when it comes to the road because they lost to Oklahoma. They lost to Tennessee on the road. They also lost to another uncharacteristic loss after 40 years of dominating versus the Vanderbilt Commodores. Alabama lost last season to Vanderbilt. First time in 40 years. The Tide, which lost 4 times outside of Tuscaloosa in 2024, failed to reach college football playoff, gets an early chance to prove last season's road woes were more than a fluke, than a foreshadowing under second-year coach Kalen DeBoer. You got to start fast, DeBoer said. You got to dig yourself a hole on the road. It gets hard. The crowd gets behind the home team. Alabama dropped road games, like I said, between Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Oklahoma, and they lost to Michigan last year in Tampa, Florida. Those setbacks left the Tide at a 9-4 record and snapped the program's 16-year run of double-digit victories. The Tide will try to end the trend against the Seminoles, who have lost 11 of their last 13 games. 4-year junior Ty Simpson, a 5-star quarterback prospect in 2022 recruiting class, will make his first career start Saturday. He has thrown just 50 passes in 3 years while waiting his turn behind Bryce Young and Jalen Milroe. See, this is the same kind of situation that Mac Jones was in when he was at Alabama. So now we got the same thing just 3 years after. Now, I believe Ty Simpson, he is an above average quarterback. Ty Simpson, take what the defense gives you in this game, because we all know that the Florida State Seminoles defense, they might be a little bit better than they were last year, but I mean, are we expecting a drastic improvement, America? I don't think so, especially in week 1. I don't see that happening. While Simpson has star receiver Ryan Williams to help ease his transition from sideline to spotlight, Alabama will be without tailback Jam Miller, dislocated collarbone. He is expected to return in time for Alabama's Southeastern Conference opener against Georgia in late September. The Crimson Tide will turn to transfer Dre Washington and others to help pick up the ground attack slack. Washington had 1,343 yards and 9 touchdowns in 4 seasons at Louisiana Lafayette. Louisiana Lafayette is way different than Alabama. Dre Washington, you're going to have to come on with the come on. Alabama is a big-time program. They really embraced the next man up mentality. Of course, Alabama has. Why shouldn't they? What Alabama has done over the years with Nick Saban and also with Coach Keiwond Dowell last year is development. Development goes a long way in college football. Alabama offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb said, I don't think there's necessarily anything earth-shattering that they are doing, but they're excited about the opportunity, which means that Florida State Seminoles defense, you don't do nothing special at all. You didn't do nothing special last year. You didn't do nothing special the year that Jordan Travis was there 2 years ago. You haven't done nothing special at all. You haven't. Despite question marks, the Crimson Tide is a 13.5-point favorite, according to sportsbooks. Florida State nearly has 50, count that, 50 new players, including former Boston College quarterback Thomas Castellanos, in a significant roster overhaul that could include 9 first-year transfers on the starting offense. Seminoles coach Mike Norvell is looking to bounce back after a 2-10 season by leaning on a run-first offense under new coordinator and former Auburn and UFC head coach Gus Malzahn. Now, one thing I'm going to say, if Mike Norvell get fired, Gus Malzahn will become the Florida State's new football head coach. I can see that happening. Norvell also brought in Tony White, who led a pair of top 25 defenses at Nebraska to run a 3-3-5 scheme. Now, a 3-3-5 defensive scheme is you got 3 backs in the front, 3 backs in the backfield, and you also have a cornerback, 2 cornerbacks on the left and right side of the field. You don't have nobody in the middle. You have your defensive linebacker only 15 yards away from the line of scrimmage. So that is the only guy that is going to be in the middle of the field. That's the only guy. This is a team that has a lot of versatile players, Norvell said. When you look at on both sides of the ball, the guys that can align in different places, with that, they're being asked to do some of the same things. I'm excited to see all of it come together in different combinations. Well, Mike Norvell, you might be heading into your last season coaching the Florida State Seminoles. So You're going to have to come up with something. Injury report going into this game. Alabama starting offensive line, Jaden Roberts, is in the concussion protocol and is still in question, DeBoer said. Florida State will be without backup receiver LaWayne McCoy and freshman defensive tackle Kevin Wynn. DeBoer in year two. DeBoer has a track record of improvement in year two at his prior stops. Let me say that again. DeBoer has a track record of improvement in year two at his prior stop. Now, what did I say earlier in the show, America, when it comes to a head coach? I said first year, growing pains. Second year, improvement. Third year, being consistently ranked in the top 25. Your fourth year, you being a college football playoff contender. By that fifth year, you should be winning a championship. You should be. Now, Kalen DeBoer, he is halfway to that. Jump at Washington, including a jump at Washington from 11-2 in 2022 to 14-2 in 2023. At Fresno State, DeBoer went 3-3 in a COVID-shortened season before leading the Bulldogs to a 9-3 mark in 2021. Starting experience among the team's 49 newcomers, Florida State brought 22 transfers who have started 293 games. Norvell and staff prioritize experience, production, and leadership. One thing, now this is the last thing that I'm going to say. Doak Campbell Stadium, they had a renovation when it comes to the stadium, but who cares about that? Only thing we want to know is about the game. That's all. We only want to know about the game. I got the Alabama Crimson Tide winning this game. I already got my bet up on this game. All my betting men and women out there, y'all place y'all bets accordingly. But you're going to get a nice payday off of this game. You are. You're going to get a nice payday off of this game because I expect Alabama to not come out here and mess around. I expect them to win this game by at least 20 points. At least 20. And for my Florida State Seminole fans, I don't expect for y'all to be hyped up when y'all come face the Florida Gators later on this season. I'm gonna just let y'all go on ahead and let y'all have this excitement going into this season, going into this game, actually, because this might be the only time I talk about y'all before the game versus the Florida Gators. But as of right now, I have the Alabama Crimson Tide winning this game, going away by 20 points. The next game I am going to cover is the LSU Tigers and the Clemson Tigers, the Battle of Death Valley. Do anybody, and I do mean, is anybody excited for the Battle of Death Valley tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern Time? It is ABC. This game also has college football implications on the line. It does. Now you have coming into this game, you have a team in LSU that has lost 5 consecutive opening day games. And do I think LSU is going to be able to some way, somehow win versus the Clemson Tigers? I surely don't think so. I just don't. Here is the LSU Tigers offense when it comes to their roster, led by Garrett Nussmeier. And here is the rest of the here's the rest of the LSU offense. That LSU defense, that is the main problem I have when it comes to putting LSU up there, when it comes to the top 10 teams in the SEC, and not just in the SEC, college football as a whole. I can't do that because LSU last season, and since Brian Kelly has been there, LSU, they have been one of those defenses that has been bottom of the damn barrel. I mean, since Brian Kelly has been there, and everybody remember, Brian Kelly was saying that he wanted to deliver a championship to Baton Rouge. In order to deliver a championship to Baton Rouge, you got to have a good defense. The defense for LSU over the past 5 years has been downright awful. LSU's defense, year in and year out, has given up at least 4 touchdowns every season on average in every game. Now, what do the LSU Tiger fans have to say about that? I'm going to say this. Brian Kelly is already on my chopping block for this year. As far as head coaches that need a deer in the headlights moment and that need a realization moment, Brian Kelly, he might get fired at the end of this season because 5 years, the previous 5 years, starting off the season, losing your first game. That in and of itself is telling me that you don't have your players prepared for the first game of the season. You have a tough time preparing your players for the start of the season. That's what it's showing me. It is. Now, here's the defense. Here's the special teams. And they are led by Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly, you got to get your stuff together, or you're going to have to pack your bags and get out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Now, here is the Clemson Tigers led by Cade Klubnik. Also, the Tigers, they have 85% of their starters from 2024 is returning this season. For this season, here's the offense for the Clemson Tigers. I'm going to let everybody have at least 10, 15 seconds to get used to everybody that is on the Tigers roster for their offense. As far as defense concerned, here is the defense for the the Clemson Tigers. Also, this game, the Tigers are a 4.5-point favorite. Here is the special teams for the Clemson Tigers. They are led by Coach Dabo Swinney. Swinney has been around for, I'm just going to go ahead and say 15 years. So Dabo Swinney, he's been around for a while. So let's get to storylines for LSU versus Clemson. LSU versus Clemson. Clemson quarterback Cade Klubnik has national championship aspirations and is one of the favorites to win the Heisman Trophy. Same can be said for Garrett Nussmeier. The two highly touted QBs clash on Saturday night in a much anticipated season opener when number 4 Clemson hosts number 9 LSU in the first head-to-head matchup between both college football powerhouses since the national championship in 2019, where LSU won 42-25 behind 5 touchdown passes from Joe Burrow. The two teams are similar in respects, and that goes well beyond sharing a mascot named and a home stadium they both call Death Valley. They both have prolific passing games and are able to point put points up on the board in a hurry, which can lead to a high scoring affair. Indicate of over or under slash being listed at 57 and a half points per sportsbook. Klubnik, who has led Clemson to 2 Atlanta Coast Conference championships through 3,639 yards and 36 touchdowns last season, while also running 463 yards and 7 scores. Nussmeier, after bidding time playing behind Jaden Daniels, became the school's first quarterback to eclipse 4,000 passing yards since Burrow. Cade Klubnik played his best football at the end of last season. I keep on telling people, Cade Klubnik came on strong at the end of last season, and his dual threat ability is central to the offense. LSU coach Brian Kelly said, Sweeney expressed equal respect for Nussmeier, praising his poise in the pocket. He's on his way to bring high draft pick. Sweeney said he's got a lot of poise. He's got great instincts, really good pocket awareness. He brings a big arm talent. He's a tough guy. And they've put a group together up front. Can LSU avoid a week 1 loss? LSU, like I said earlier, LSU has lost its last 5 season openers, including 3 straight under Kelly. In fact, the last time the Tigers won a season opener was 2019, the one season where they won the national championship. Kelly said that has no bearing on this year and that he's excited about this team. Kelly said that the Tigers did get into their pregame routine earlier than normal this season and believe the changes in the roster have produced tougher players. Everybody talks about iron sharpens iron, Kelly said. We didn't have iron all the time in previous camps. We had iron versus butter. Butter doesn't seem like iron. So, from that perspective, the competition in this camp was so much different. We are going to see Coach Brian Kelly. Experience matters. Clemson typically doesn't dip into the transfer portal, priding itself on retaining its players and developing its players. The Tigers have one of the most experienced teams in college football, returning 8 starters on both sides of the football, contributing to their high preseason ranking. Sweeney said experience only counts for so much. The guys have put in the work, Sweeney said. We've been around a lot of good teams, and this team has the ingredients to be a really good team, but we've got to do the work. We can talk about it or predict our way into it. Now, I always like my phrase is saying, don't talk about it, be about it. The transfer kings, LSU might not have returning experience, but they did have the number 1 transfer class according to 24/7 Sports. They brought in some really good players, some experienced guys, and got a big time skill. Sweeney said they got that the guys they got can take the top off guys that can complement the run game with screen game and getting the ball in space and breaking tackles. In my opinion, they really don't have any weaknesses on the offensive side of the ball. They equip the quarterback to make them right, and most of the time he does. That is what Sweeney said. Pressuring Nussmeier, unlike Klubnik, Nussmeier is not known for his mobility. He has a minus 38 yards. He had a minus 38 yards rushing last season. That will put added pressure to LSU's offensive line to protect him against a Clemson defensive front that is expected to be more productive this season. Edge rusher T.J. Parker and defensive tackle Peter Woods are both considered likely first round NFL draft picks. Studs on tap. For the first time ever, Clemson will be selling alcohol. Now, this has no weight for the football game, but I'm gonna go ahead and say this. For the first time ever, Clemson will be selling alcohol at Memorial Stadium, which could add to what is expected to be a ruckus atmosphere Saturday night. Who do I have winning this game? The Clemson Tigers. And the Clemson Tigers will become the real Death Valley Saturday night. I just don't think that the LSU Tigers defense will be able to hold up. And plus, you got a quarterback, LSU, in Nussmeier that is not known for his mobility, because I just read that 45 seconds ago. I just read that. So, Clemson Tigers, I also have a bet on this game. So, Clemson Tigers, do not let me down. Please go ahead and put these baby Tigers in LSU to bed, because we all know who the real Tigers are, and that's Clemson. Clemson, they have the real Death Valley. They are the real Tigers, and they are going to show who is a real football team tomorrow night. Game starts at 7:30 on ABC. The next game I am going to cover, and the final game that I am going to cover, is the Notre Dame Fighting Irish versus the Miami Hurricanes. Now, this game right here, this is probably, and I do mean probably, one of the toughest games that I'm going to have to predict for week one. Like I've been saying all throughout, and I do mean all throughout, week one is the first week of college football where anything, and I do mean anything, it is unpredictable. It is. It's unpredictable. You cannot go off of what last season tape has shown you. You can't do that. But like I always say, prior knowledge is just experience for what you are going to see when it comes to new knowledge and a new team and a new season. So now for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, they are led by C.J. Carr. C.J. Carr is the starting quarterback for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And here is the offense for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame Fighting Irish was also the runner-up last season to Ohio State. Here is the Notre Dame Fighting Irish defense. And here is the Notre Dame Fighting Irish special teams. Now, here is another thing that I can say. This rivalry, I can say, is another thing. Now, I noticed that the last time that the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Miami Hurricanes played, I was able to watch this game. The last time they played, I was in high school, 8th grade, and I remember everybody was saying that the Miami Hurricanes was back. We back, we this, we that. Miami Hurricane fans, I've been hearing y'all say that over the past 15 years. Can y'all have some quality wins versus some quality of opponents first before y'all start saying that y'all are back. Please. We know that the Miami Hurricanes are led by Carson Beck, but I just don't think, what am I going to see out of Carson Beck this season? I just don't know. I think I need to take a step back and look at these statistics from what Carson Beck did last season. I think I need to do that, America. I really do. Because when you see his statistics from last season, when it comes to turnover to interception ratio, 4-3, for every 4 touchdowns you throw 3 interceptions. That's inconsistent to me. Now, he did have over 3,000 yards, and his QBR was 80.9, but he's not consistent. He is not consistent, and I already know that it's a lot of Miami Hurricane fans that are already popping in my chat saying that we need that. Does the game versus the Florida Gators count this year? I'm going to tell you, every game that the Florida Gators play, whether it's against in-state rivals, it counts. This is for in-state bragging rights. But back to the game at hand. Miami Hurricanes versus the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. The Catholics versus the Criminals. That is what the nickname for this rivalry is. The Catholics versus the Criminals. Now, I can expect this game to be close. Right now, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish is a 2.5 point favorite right now. This game is they put this game in the right time slot. They did. Sunday night football, college edition. Everybody know that this weekend is, Labor Day weekend. So nobody has to go into work Monday morning. So everybody, please, please, please have a good time watching this game, and also be safe. Now, one thing, this is the rest of the Miami Hurricanes defense, Miami Hurricanes special teams, and here is the slate of storylines for the Fighting Irish and the Miami Hurricanes. Right now, college football odds, point spread, 2.5 point favorite, Notre Dame Fighting Irish. How to watch it, ABC. Key statistics for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Overall offense, 399 yards, 0.1 yards per game. 55th in college football last season. Passing yards, 198th, 198.1 yards per game. 101st in college football last season. Rushing, 200.9 yards, 19th in college football last season. Scoring, 36.1 points per game, 10th in college football last year. Now let's get to the defense. Overall defense, 307.4 yards allowed, 11th in college football last year. Passing, 169.4 yards allowed last season per game, 4th in college football last season. Rushing, 138.1 yards per game allowed last season, 49th in college football last season. Defensively, scoring, 15.5 points allowed per game last season, tied 4th in college football last season. For the Miami Hurricanes, overall offense, 537.2 yards per game, 1st in college football last season. Passing yards, 348.2 yards per game last season. Third, rushing, 188.9 yards per game, 31st last season in college football. Scoring, 43.9 points per game last season in college football. First for the Miami Hurricanes. Overall defense for the Miami Hurricanes, 327.2 yards allowed per game, 27th in college football last year. Passing, 214.4 yards allowed last season, 57th in college football last season. Rushing, 112.8 yards allowed per game last season, 19th in college football. Scoring, 25.3 points allowed per game, 70th in college football last season. Team leaders for Notre Dame. Passing, Tyler Buckner, 1 for 1, 23 yards. Rushing, Jeremiah Love, 1,125 yards on 163 carries, 17 touchdowns. Receiving, Malachi Fields, 808 yards, 55 receptions, 5 touchdowns at Virginia. Miami, Carson Beck, 3,485 yards, 65 completion percentage, 28 touchdowns at Georgia. Rushing yards, Mark Fletcher Jr., 607 yards on 112 carries, 9 touchdowns. Receiving, C.J. Daniels, 480 yards on 42 receptions at LSU. The last game for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, they lost to Ohio State in the national championship game. Last game for the Miami Hurricanes was Iowa State. They lost 42-41 in the Pop-Tarts Bowl last season. Who do I have winning this game? This prediction is going to be tough because I'm looking at a live feed right now when it comes to the point spreads. I'm looking at LasVegasSuperbook.com. I'm looking at DraftKingsSportsbooks.com. I'm looking at my Hard Rock Bet. I'm looking at ESPN Sports Bet right now. And I'm seeing these different numbers, and I don't know who to predict, but if there is one thing that I can do is pick the right team to win this game, and I'm going to go with Notre Dame in this game. I'm going to go with Notre Dame because the Russian attack, Miami has a tough time stopping that. Notre Dame, they have 65% of their returning starters coming back from last season. And also, one thing that I can say, that this college football is back. And I like the kind of games that is set up for college football in the week slate of games, in the week 1 slate of games. So everybody, to go down a list, I'm going to give y'all a refresher of who I got winning in all of the games that I covered in this show. Texas versus Ohio State. I got Ohio State winning that. Alabama versus, number 8, Alabama versus FSU. I got Alabama winning that one. Number 9 versus number 4, Clemson. I got Clemson winning that one. I also have a bet on the Alabama, FSU, and LSU and Clemson game. Notre Dame, number 6 Notre Dame versus number 10 Miami. I got Notre Dame in this game, but I would not be surprised if Miami, some way, somehow, pulls a rabbit out of their cap and upsets Notre Dame Sunday night. And with that, those are my predictions for college football week 1 slate of games. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, click the notification bell to get notified of all of my reaction videos, shows, and other content. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, Keytime Sports right here on YouTube. Also, go and follow Key City Sports on Instagram, and also follow my page on millions.co, the key at Keywond Dowell. We are also selling merchandise on millions.co. Go over there on millions.co, look up my name, the key at Keywond Dowell, and you will see merchandise. You will see t-shirts, hoodies. It's starting to get a little bit, it's going to start to get a little bit chilly out there, America. So everybody is in need of a hoodie. And we also have joggers. We have joggers in our live merchandise setup. So go on over to millions.co and look up the merchandise that Keytime Sports, Key City Sports, and also the Key has in store for you. And one last thing I want to say, America, remember, the Key is always on time.